Welcome. This is the Legion and Dame Onion. Hermes, Ra, and Legion stroll into a corner stream. Wow, what a title that is. What a title that is. And that's quite the thumbnail, too. Oh! Welcome. Hey, and the microphone not even in position. I had to jump in, even though I'm not ready, because Phoebus says this. Congrats on the lottery win, Grim. And it's one of those situations where I haven't been informed that I've won the lottery. Apparently, JBP himself left, says Neil. And also, I wanted to point out that Tunji apparently has a bird. A bird. And welcome. Hey, why don't you channel members show off? Yes, the inverse grift. The inverse grift, Steven. Why don't you channel members show off your emoji powers while I play this I can't use the train to come in. Oh, this one.
Tell me that you've lived here your whole life.
No, not yet.
Are you married?
No bad habit.
No bad habit, eh? Well, what do you chew that tobacco for?
For nothing. Nobody's fool enough to pay me for it.
Well, tell me, how far is it to the next crossroads?
Follow your nose and you'll come to it. Follow your nose
We want what's best. Special thanks to the Shadow Cabal. So say we all. There is a boat, Neil. There is a boat. I don't know if it's loaded. But there is a boat. We'll like surfing waves of obsession. We'll I'll bring up the boat sometime in today's stream. Story arc. Watch for the arcing archons. There's a stream called that. Like that stream. This stream is a stream where you get a mind control save. You see, we're all wizards. You see, casting spells with our incantations and such and brandings. And as such, you deserve a saving soul versus mind control. And I give you one here on this stream. You get to pick between survival, social, wisdom, or heart as the basis for your savings throw. I roll a die. If it's over 10, you take half damage from the mind control and the rest of the show and the rest of the stream and the rest of your day. If it's under 10, you take full damage. But remember, everybody, we want what's best for you. Survival, social, wisdom, or heart. Choose. Survivalist with a 7 today. You're going to need a bonus. You get a +5 if you leave a comment on a replay stream. Socialist, prime 19. You're almost at the top of your game. Lovers of wisdom. I think you're here for the Viveki part. That's an 18 for you. 18, you're going to be okay. Heart, folks. Oh, natural 20. You get +3 on the next stream saves. And Indigo Kids with the Baker's Coven. Go figure. Hey, Kazi, choosing wisdom. Not a channel member. Look at that. His name's not green. Okay, well, there you go. There's the savings throws. This is the Legion and the Dame Onion stream with Hermes, Ra, and Legion stroll into a corner.
So say we all. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Ho, ho, ho.
I guess I'll get things rolling with a shout out to this little corner.com, this-little-corner.com, where you can search for a word like Gandalf and see where the channels in the corner have said it. Isn't that kind of fancy? Hey, Brad, how's it going? Okay, and then welcome, hello, and welcome. I'm General Griswold Gaiusgrim of the First LARP Ingression Protocol, a member of the Sacred Order of Foolish Transparency. Hello, I see the assassins have failed, and founding member of the Fraternal Regiment embodying narcissistic sociopathy. Welcome, friends. Red card of the show is the 8 of spades today. It's that, yes, it appears not. See, because members look green with these little fancy icons next to him, and you just look regular without that icon. So it seems like you're not a member of the, at least not the YouTube channel. Tunji asks how I'm doing. That's none of your business. Cassandra with this, what? Look, this is an icon that works in StreamYards. Luke is here. Jeremy Firth, let me tell you something. There he is. Listening while shopping. I guess I need to craft the audio experience all special like now. Was that not social? That should be socialistic narcolepsy. That's a fun one. Narcoleptic sociopathy. Hey, Zach, good to see you. What's up, Dolly? All right. And we have cards. I make cards for the show. I try to talk about the things on the card. Look, heavenly peace. Peace is one. Heavenly peace. And your the fun one at the top one. It's your buffered self hole. Look at your buffered self hole. Okay. Hey, look at that. Origin again. We'll give you a Blue Church card at the show right after we run this clip. I believe from what counts as today's homeroom.
What happens if you're successful, and this is the same thing that has happened with many YouTubers, and actually Mary Spender has another video on that, is you wind up becoming a manager. Because suddenly now you have to manage the church, and so much documentation in the 80s and 90s was all about pastor as entrepreneur. And you shouldn't work in the church, you should work on the church. And you spend all of your time doing leadership visioning and directing, and you should constantly be working on the people that you're supervising and your next hire and your next goal and your next BHAG. Some of you in the church circles will know what a BHAG is. I'm not going to define it. You can go look it up if you want to.
We don't. We don't. You can. I did. I don't remember. It's not worth it. Anyway, Blue Church card of the show, the Deuce of Diamonds today. As he was saying, when you're successful, you become a manager. That's sort of what relates to this bonus card we have today. I have a list of what appears to be becoming classes in the LARPgate TLC RPG, and so far the list is this: accountability stalkers. So, like, if a streamer or a YouTube channel captain says they're going to do something and you make a clip of it, and then when they don't do it, you throw that clip at them and say, aha, what about when you said you were going to do this? That's an accountability stalker. That's a class. A tree tagger, which is like when you're watching a video and you just timestamp the good bits. That's like, because there's guys who used to go through the forest and put tags on trees, like, don't cut this one down. That's what they're doing to a video with the timestamps. So we call it tree taggers. The reapers that make the clips, the loomers that put the clips together in a nice order to make the montages we all love. And bards, I'm calling the guys who put them to music for like meaning wave stuff. And then there's captains, ship captains, and then trollops. That's when you have trolls in your chat that you allow because they're controlled opposition trolls. They troll within the bounds of appropriate trolldom, and it sets the standard of behavior for people wanting to troll. Those are the trollops. And then there's the due dilettantes. The due dilettantes are the ones that do the actual looking into stuff, like the connection between the Vervaeke Foundation and the Rocky Horror Picture Show fellas. Those people that find those things out. Those are due dilettantes. And then there's another one. I don't remember, but that's from my perspective. Those are roles and functions that are played for, that are available as interfaces for engagement with this little corner. Remember it. We walk. Now, a lot of the times on this channel, we'll feature Why? Okay, why is that there? Hide that. Okay. Will feature the videos and commentary of one Plastic Paul Vanderclay. Here's what his page looks like. You see there with those two birds? And those two birds reminded me that Sevilla's back, and she's got the nice little bird on her new video intros.
Hi there. In commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the publishing of Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, I would like to go over the book again, but this time as someone who spent a couple years immersing myself in Persig's work. When I first discussed this book, chapter by chapter, I had little idea of what Persig was talking about. And so this channel has kind of been an exploration of Persig's work in an attempt to understand what he was saying. On this go-round, I want to say again that practically every line of the book is meaningful to me, but I want to pick a couple of passages from each chapter to discuss. So in chapter 1, here's the first one. Winters, when the sloughs were frozen over and dead, and I could walk across the ice and snow between the dead cattails and see nothing but gray skies and dead things and cold. The blackbirds were gone then, but now in July they're back, and everything is at its alivest. And every foot of these sloughs is humming and cricking and buzzing and chirping, a whole community of millions of living things, living out their lives in a kind of benign continuum. The word that really stands out in this passage is continuum. What a continuum means is something that unites, something that is like a common thread, let's say. But you never really see that common thread, or you don't think about it. In terms of the Eastern approach, that is a big part.
Hello there, and welcome back.
I'm not a cat.
To the Legion and Dame Onion stream. Hermes, Rod, Legion stroll into a corner. Where we've made it up to the to the agency deck card of the show portion of the stream, and then we're gonna get into all the open tabs that remain, and it's gonna be a fun trip for everybody. Here it is, agency deck card of the show, Jack of Clubs. Jack of Clubs. And first and foremost, thank you to the shadow cabal of production executives, channel members, those at the Buy Me a Coffee, and over at the Ko-fi link, available at the top of the Hive Mind chat, for sending me to the Tarpon Springs Symbolic World Summit less than 10 days from now. It's 10 days that thing starts, and thank you again for sending me. It's amazing. It's amazing. Oh, that's appropriate for later. Get a meeting. I don't know. Isn't he just going to be hanging out in the VIP lounge listening to me as if I had something to teach him? Okay, Stephen Saintview says that the Jacket Club is Apollonarius of Laodicea, but I was pretty sure he didn't pull a saint for the agency decks. So that's kind of weird. That's kind of wild. Yeah, so Jordan, survival, social wisdom are hard. I'm going to humbly ask me to divert south a bit on the bit. Live at a live stream is a bad time to do that, Neil. I don't know. I'm aiming for Pensacola. It's Florida I'm going to. I don't know how much souther I could divert to. I don't know how much souther that's possible. Oh, Cassandra and Dolly are saying hi. Look at the way the social hive mind binds itself together. Oh, he does now, he says. He does now. It wasn't a hard-faced rule. Okay, Buffered Self-Hole. Buffered Self-Hole on the Legion and Damien. Hermes, Ra, and Legion. Stroll into... Man, that's a long title. But, I don't know.
The list?
Yes, any of the first level ones.
I'm gonna get a soda. Anyone want one? Hey, Graham, I'm not in the room, right?
What room?
I want to cast Magic Missile.
A
room where he's casting all these spells from.
He hasn't cast anything yet.
I am, though, if you'd listen. I'm casting Magic Missile.
Why are you casting Magic Missile? There's nothing to attack here.
I'm attacking the darkness.
Some people shoot 3, some people shoot 1. Look at Gartham unloading all of 5 magic missiles against the darkness.
Oh shoot, where was I going with this? Attention.
Okay, and some latecomers, Tunji and Clint, shooting. Oh, Stephanie with the last one. All right. We've done this. All right, everybody knows what we're doing. What is this you have loaded?
Go from be a good man to be a good person, that a level of differentiation is removed, and Jonathan Peugeot sort of jumps on that, and it's a great conversation. But person is the right level for this.
Person is the right level for this. As you can see, Pastor Paul Vanderclay has whipped out a PowerPoint on the topic of a Christian thinks through the arrival of Hermes in the corner. The arrival of Hermes in the corner. And so as a result, since he went to PowerPoint levels, I had to do Hermes, Ra, and Legion stroll into a corner as a response stream for that. Now, you might not know why I would spend any attention on this Pastor Paul Vanderclay fella. And you might also not know why I would spend any attention on this John Vervaeke fella. But here's a little bit of why I would spend so much attention on this John Vervaeke fella. You see, he's a friend of the he's a friend of the channel. Look here.
Jordan Hall and I have been advocating for that for quite some time. That we, and the work that Dan Chiappi and I did on how the NASA scientists move the rovers around on Mars and how they get the collective intelligence of distributed cognition working, really points to a different way of organization other than this.
If you see that, you can note the trigger point. One, like as I mentioned, we have all these different roles around here. We're lacking one of a body language analysis person. We need one of those. I don't know what to call it. What's a good LARPgate name for a body language analysis? And anyway, you can see the trigger moment.
And Chiappi quite some
If you
time.
watch that guy's face,
Jordan Hall and I have been.
Stop it. If you watch the guy's face in the bottom right over here, right, watch that guy's face.
advocating for that for quite some time. That we and the work that Dan Chiappa and I did on how the NASA scientists move the rovers around on Mars and how they get
you see it? You see it happening? There it is. There it is.
The collective intelligence of distributed cognition working really points to a different way of organization other than the sort of static Iron Age hierarchy. There are different ways of organizing.
Speaking of different ways of organizing, I interrupt you for this comment from President Foxman, who says, Gigi, have you seen the Peugeot announcement? The answer is no. The answer is no. Give me effective search terms in the hive mind, and we'll bring it up. We'll bring it up right after when I get to a good stopping point.
Seeing human collaboration that, as you say, more readily mimic the brain. And instead of leaving that implicit, because you have all kinds of evidence for it happening implicitly, we could.
You see, it's convenient and synchronistically that we're talking about the way that human collaboration can happen in the brain. And then I did that new thing with Foxman in the hive mind, demonstrating in real time the manifestation we do in the flotilla of human cognition.
Explicate it and actually afford it, and therefore improve the social organization of distributed cognition to enhance.
And as he just mentioned, afford it.
Now what'll that asshole think of next? Is anybody gonna die?
Special thanks to the Shadow Cabal. So say we all.
The collective intelligence, perhaps educated into collective wisdom.
Oh, the Mars rover people, man. Why didn't they go to the face? All the conspiracy people know there's a face on Mars, and you guys send a rover up there, and you don't even go check out the face. I'm sorry, I had to. Sorry, Don. And that was the what happened in response to the trigger we noted in the body language earlier. Yeah. Woo. I know you hate woo.
Yes.
and the most I've gotten out of paying what attention I do to you is that there's the spiritual bypassing aspects that you associate with it.
Yeah.
What else? Because
there's a lot. Woo is like you distinguish it in terms of.
Now I don't know if it's a good opportunity, but perhaps a little juxtaposition from then what you're seeing there in this here, this is then, and this is much closer to now. So maybe a juxtapose.
Together. Right?
Yeah.
He's binding the inner and the outer, the upper.
Now, in that clip I'm going to play from my conversation with John from a couple of years ago, he'll walk through that in a little bit more detail. I just wanted to note that here.
And the lower and all of that together. And so it's the sense of a presence, but it's like what Charles Stang talks about, the divine double. It's both you and not you, kind of like the way conscience is, but it has right. I mean, and so I have an ongoing dialogue with Hermes. It's very much.
Is this a presence that you visualize? How do you know of its appearance?
I've had only one sort of vision.
What was the vision like?
The vision was very much, well, the vision was very much what I later.
Now you can see Jordan go into science. Now,
I could have brought up the actual Jordan piece and not run into the fact that Paul would interrupt, but I didn't. So, but that this is closer to now, and now let's juxtapose back to then.
Of the epistemic, the knowledge gathering practices and the epistemological practices, how much they reflect on and make use of our best understanding of knowing. And so there's Woo is when people are engaged in very confused, unclear, vague. They make unjustifiable claims to certain kinds of knowledge. They violate principles by which we're allowed to criticize and examine each other. Woo is a whole panoply of, epistemic errors and cognitive biases run riot on the corpse of kind of a decadent romanticism, where somehow we have magical intuitive faculties that give us divine access to the depths of reality.
That's brought to us by an Egyptian god, perhaps, John? I just got to do this one line again. Hold on.
Errors and by which we're allowed to. They make unjustifiable claims to certain kinds of knowledge. They violate principles by which we're allowed to criticize and examine each other. Woo is a whole panoply of, epistemic errors and cognitive biases run riot on the core.
Woo is a whole panoply of epistemic errors and cognitive biases run riot.
Corpse of kind of a decadent romanticism, where somehow
run riot on the cognitive corpse of a decadent romanticism.
Woo is a whole panoply of, epistemic errors and cognitive biases run riot on the corpse of kind of a decadent romanticism, where somehow we have intuitive magical.
Run riot on the corpse of a decadent. Oh man, this guy. So, friend of the show, goes on this Papa Peterson show, and it talks about here it is.
So I have an ongoing dialogue with Hermes. It's very much.
Is this a presence that you visualize? How do you know of its appearance?
I've had.
Now, much like the discussion of the appearance between John and Peterson here really missed out on Peterson's own experience as classically encapsulated and caricatured.
I had a very intense religious experience at one point. This was back in 1985 when I was a graduate student, and I was listening to the Jupiter Symphony. This happened, man. So this happened. I was really concentrating hard on that mandala and the sky opening up and God sort of peering forth through the clouds. And that's exactly what seemed to happen to me. Is it was something like another dimension, classically something like the Holy Ghost, I suppose. Well, it was like being in heaven. I could feel myself transformed, transmuted as a consequence of this experience. Then I felt that whatever had descended, it seemed that as if it was sorrowful, and it departed from me slowly. Whereas I shook physically for about half an hour after that experience, like I was shaking, like you shake after a car accident. What is the story behind the logo that you use in your intros? Where did it come from? That logo is called The Meaning of Music, and it's actually a sculpture that I made in 1985. It's a three-dimensional representation of a two-dimensional representation of a four-dimensional object. It's a representation of time and space. So you know how music unfolds and then something else unfolds within it, and then it unfolds again within it, like a rose opening into the day, or like a lotus flower that sort of comes up from the darkest depths up through the dark.
I am the lotus flower. I am the lotus flower. I hope you're feeling virtually not alone. Please chat with the hive mind if you're not.
Is everything all right in here?
Yes, Nanny.
We all know that there is no agency any living gent can see doing what is right for me. Just lifting up my bro so he can grow some eyes to see that doing what is right for me increases all our agency.
So John really missed the opportunity to talk to Peterson and compare and contrast their manifestations. But here's what John said about his.
I had only one sort of vision.
What was the vision like?
The vision was very much, well, the vision was very much what I later.
Now you can see Jordan go into scientist therapist mode, and now all of this is on video, so in a sense I don't have to necessarily go back.
That was a what we call a fanboy squee.
Now you can see Jordan go into scientist therapist mode, and now all of this is on video, so in a sense I don't have to necessarily go back over this with John. If we talk about it, maybe we will, because I'm certainly probably push on a few things that Jordan didn't. But it's interesting, this turn that happened in this conversation, the amount of attention this turn has had, at least in this little corner.
Very much like sort of Micah.
What? Oh.
Has had, at least in this little corner.
Very much like sort of Micah L, the archangel, which is very interesting. And then I've had one of sort of Thoth from Egypt, and Hanuman from the Vedic tradition, as well as Hermes from the Greek tradition. And
okay. And so my point, like if you're not talking to him right now, Pastor Paul, and you see this before you talk to him, my point is going to be along the lines of, if he gets to talk to Hermes, then the corner finally has to deal with Ra. And that we'll get into shortly here on this Legion and the Dame Onion stream. Hermes, Ra, and Hermes, Ra, and Legion stroll into a corner. If John Vervaeke over there is allowed to bring Hermes in, then it's time we talk about Ra. You see, this is from Pastor Paul's top secret membership video. He'll probably release tomorrow or whatever. Christian thinks through the arrival of Hermes in the corner. He makes a big PowerPoint. It's fancy pants, and then he expresses his concerns for God and said he prays, and he closes with a nice musical number, and that's the musical number close is why this says heavenly peace on it, and that's sleep in heavenly. See, the thing is, if you have a legion of voices in your head, and there's one of them that if you give it the light, it's peaceful. That's the heavenly peace, peace amongst the legion. And let's see, are we getting there yet? Let's see. We'll just play some of this part.
And it begins with a personal relationship with God. I summarize some of what happened in Chuck Colson's Born Again. And this is sort of my God number one. And
to be fair.
Okay, that's just a complete fumble. Let's have a music break. Okay, let's just keep scrolling, buddy. Keep on scrolling.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with your deduction. Your brain works fine. The problem is that you're not submitted to the truth outside of the truth that you want to be true. You're an
Steven says, I'm bringing in Agent Apollonarius. Did I even say that right? Apollonarius. All this gods makes me feel like Wesley II or T-Grog. Chad, you are late. It's okay. It's okay. Some titans for good measure. See, that's the thing. The big old tufa formation. That if you acknowledge that John Vervaeke is allowed to talk to what? So this is the point to mention to Threy. What? The Trinity. There's more in that panoply. Golem likes his fishes raw. Jeremy says, hearing John talk about their Dialogo sessions where they're basically inviting possession by ancient spirits was enough to turn the light on. What's a pandemonium? A pandemonium. Okay. Oh no. I saw something. What'd you see? You saw that. And you know what that means? What's that mean? That means you got to play this. This is a message for Pastor Paul Vanderclay. I saw you had on your show this morning. The horrible things that man said about the kayfabe. And I just want you to know that I'm going to destroy you in the April Fool's Conversation cage match. Now, okay, where are we at? Well, see, what happened was we're in the middle of this here Legion and the Dame Onion stream. Hermes, Ra, and Legion stroll into a corner. And you've done this is John bringing in Hermes' part. But the thing is, you had a tab open that you didn't play. There was a special treat for those that are like barely watching, but are into due dilettantery. And this was a nice little gemstone for them that you picked up and wanted to share. So,
and honest, that also gives me a certain amount of liberty. I'm doing it now more because I want to than because I have to, and that changes your whole stance. So that's just been a big. I'd hoped for that. I had worked towards that, and it came to fruition in a way that I think is very helpful. And then something else. Very early on, I just for initially practical reasons, I set up a not-for-profit, the Vervaeke Foundation. It was just largely so the money that was coming to me, I could put it aside without having to pay income tax. I would only have to pay non-for-profit tax, which in Canada, I imagine the United States is the same, is much, much smaller. That way I was able to accrue enough funds for after Socrates and things like that. But then what happened is kind of a godsend. Ryan Barton came to me and said, your work saved my life, transformed my relationship, helped save my marriage. He was saying all these things. I know if I'm remembering his words verbatim. I'm just trying to convey the spirit. He was extremely grateful. And we can talk about trying to manage that in a bit. But he said, I want to help. And what I do is I build organizations. My business is a business that builds organizations. I want to build your Vervaeke Foundation into a real organization. And so he actually came to Toronto. He lives in the United States. I forget where. I think it's near Carolina, North Carolina, I think. He knew Duke. When I went to Duke and I came back with a Duke hat, he said, "Oh yeah, he knew that." He came up here. We sat in a hotel room, like a conference room, for 6 hours, and we banged it out. And he said, "What do you want?" And I said, "I don't want to be Aragorn. I want to be Gandalf." And he said, "Right."
That's why. That's why. See, all the stuff up until this moment here.
I don't want to be Aragorn. I want to be Gandalf.
Was just bonuses for the due dilettantes who want to look into stuff. But that part where he said, "I want to be Gandalf." See, the problem is he didn't do the Gandalf thing of keep it secret, keep it safe, and now. With his Hermes experience, if you want to have a chit chat with Hermes and do a secret dialogos and all that, that's fine. But you didn't keep it secret safe, Gandalf. And so that's why that clip existed. In other news, I've assigned Pastor Paul Vanderklay some homework. It's the movie Split. Pastor Paul, you have movie homework. You're assigned. Anybody else can watch. It's a good watch. It's a good representation of. Oh look, the Rockefellers weighing in with the coffee bar tickling. Thank you very much. Dirty money. We like it. It spends just the same. Welcome. We hope you're feeling virtually not alone. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, so, where are we at? Well, John brought Hermes in, and it's like, so why then, therefore, what not? All right, get your bearings. Play some more of this.
Faculties that give us divine access to the depths of reality. And I don't believe, with very good reason and evidence, that we have any such faculty. All of our faculties are adaptive. All of our faculties are flawed. There is no divine faculty. There is no demonic faculty. There is no single practice. There is no panacea practice. And what I find in a lot of woo is there's a divine faculty, there's a demonic faculty, there's a single perfect practice or small set of practices. And I know this because of the way it feels inside of me, and all kinds of very, very poor ways and very sloppy forms of thinking. So what typifies woo is an ignorance and oftentimes a resistance to science, to relevant science. And I think that is part of the problem, even though these people often feel that their woo is part of the solution.
So, John, how do you go from that to talking to Hermes? How does that happen? And then, if we're gonna talk Hermes, if you get to talk to Hermes, then how is it any different? Wait, you don't have it loaded. Yes, you do. There it is. It's here. Come here. How is it any different that that we can't deal with channeling and channeled material, such as the raw contact, known as the law of one materials, and you can read all of the transcripts thereof at this lawof1.info site where I found it. It says fun stuff like, I am raw through the law of one, though beyond the limitations of name, as you call vibratory sound complexes, may be approximated by stating that all things are one, that there is no polarity, no right or wrong, no disharmony, but only identity. All is one, and that one is the light love of the infinite creator, and those sorts of things. What are we to make of the cosmology given to us by entities that assume voices in our heads, John? And what do we think of channeling now that we've had this experience? Those questions I have for you. But to warn anyone, see, what happened was is I received an email of some guy who wanted to talk law of one stuff. He's got a fancy Substack known as Afriel Substack. None of the above is the featured article there. We're featuring, it's from his Substack. He wanted to talk this law of one nonsense. And we might. If he gets to bring in Hermes, then we should also have this. This should also be on the table. Oh, the Falun Gong weighing in. Oh, let's see. For that, we gotta go with the orangest branding we can think of, and that's this one. And it's loading now. Special thanks to the Shadow Cabal. We always being love supported by questionable agencies, and entities and egregores that makes us feel warm and tingly. Hello. I see the assassin. I see the assassin. I see Luke Thompson says, reality is strange or simpler than we often think. And Corey Foolstrike says, Mithras equals Antichrist. And dude, I'm like, who the fuck is Mithras? Okay, but Luke's comment here about the reality, it moves us on to the buffered self hole and the false framing and the narrative symbolic compression ritual and the monkey human vending machine, all of which are coming up next. The buffered self hole is the idea that John has opened him up from the previous guy that I talked to. This one here, this self was buffered. I think he blames that Dan Shappy guy on it. Paul knows the reference. There's a buffered self guy, and he used to be like that, and now he's opened himself up to talking with Hermes. He's no longer the buffered self hole. The buffered self hole and the whole health self. The whole health self. False framing and narrative symbolic compression rituals. This is okay. This is the monkey human vending machine, is what it is, right? The monkey human vending machine goes like this. They take a kid and a little monkey, and they have an adult or scientist or whatever use the vending machine, but do all sorts of weird before using the vending machine. Like going to the vending machine and going, and then using the vending machine. And the little kid, when it mimics the human, it will do all the weird too before using the vending machine. And the little monkey won't. It'll just be like money. And it's like the capacity to LARP at higher levels, because the LARP of the higher levels, this part, is part of the narrative symbolic compression ritual, to where like you do things and you don't know why you do them, but it's like for example, like you got to do something with driving and the paperwork of driving, or you do things a certain way, and then because you want to avoid doing the paperwork of not doing it the other way, and that's part of the compressed ritual, to where you do it the way you do it because you don't even know why. It's just the way it works. Is if you LARP it like this, you get through it, and it works. Everything works if you LARP that way. And that's the narrative symbolic compression ritual part, is even if it's a completely bullshit based, if it functionally gets you through the day, then sometimes the bullshit can be used to make reality frames that endure things, pressures that aren't bullshit. So false framing with like it's probably not actually Hermes in his legion, but the interesting part I found about
what's reality, I don't know. When my bird was looking at my computer monitor, I thought, that bird has no idea what he's looking at. And yet, what does the bird do? Does he panic? No, he can't really panic. He just does the best he can. Is he able to live in a world where he's so ignorant voice, the bird's okay even though he doesn't understand the world. You're that bird looking at the monitor, and you're thinking to yourself, I can figure this out. Maybe you have some bird ideas.
All right, then here we are. Here we are at the Legion and Daemonian stream. And I'm Grimgriz, and I'm making the stream for you. You're in the hive mind watching, or in the replays getting the fuss +5 for the replay comments. And we've made it through the heavenly peace. Okay, the Legion and the Daemon part. The Daemonian is on this thing, and if we look it up like this. You see how the O is weird. The O is weird in the Daemonian. That's because of this here. It's the ancient Greek, they say, and it looks like that. But up here it says Daemonian, and that's where we got the O, and it stands for the divine power, the deity, or the divinity, and also an inferior divine being, a demon. The name by which Socrates calls his genius, or the spirit that dwelt within him. Number 2, a demon, an evil spirit. I don't know what those things being next to each other like that is trying to tell us, but that's the Daemonian thing. And Legion had the Daemonian, but it was not. See this internal fractured self system that John's using to talk to his daemonium and name his daemonium is like naming the Legion. Like, members of the Legion, please stand up. All right, here's my voice for a while, member of the Legion, until you start talking as yourself, representing these areas of concern of my life as a tulpa in my brain or consciousness Congress. And so he's doing this process, naming the parts of his brain within him, and then his right brain grabs enough of the pieces to form together this one thing and can talk to him directly. See, I think that there's 2 of us in our heads. One of them is like deaf, dumb, and blind, but like not linguistically, like not the right hand side of our brain that can show us pictures and like be the agentic arena of our imagination. But it can't really normally speak to us, and all this practicing of this internal fractured system that John did gave his right hemisphere enough pieces of whatnot to slap together this character and make its presence known, because it has power over the imaginary. The demonium has power over the imaginarium. And so, but everybody's got the Legion. It's just like in his practices, he started naming it. And if you start doing weird things happen. And so this whole channeling nonsense with the law of one raw material, where we have fun topics like the archetypal mind, the higher self, sexual energy transfer, the original thought before the veil. The whole veil concept is great. Time, space, UFOs, wanderers. It's all fancy. It's quite the cosmology. Terribly I didn't show you any of that. That was me. I was poking around here on this part. There's not. One thing to note. One thing. There's that line that says, "Know it by its fruits," right? And that one of the 3 people involved dies horrifically at the end. Spoiler alert. And they have the archetypal mind over here. This was me showing you miscellanea, meditation, tarot. It's a bunch of solar system history, pyramids. It's got it all. And what if you talking to Hermes is a fine system, then how about this one, where it's like now that we know John talks to Hermes, if we get him in the room, we're like, all right, can you put John away and just let me talk to Hermes? And that's channeling. And that's what happened in this weird raw contact stuff. But on behalf of the due dilettantery, I present the followings.
The authors, that group, to a functional state, he started his channeling circle. In that group, Puharish claims they were channeling the 9, what he called the elder gods of the Egyptian Aeneid that created Egyptian society. Many authors have written extensive works about these, including Peter Levenda's Sinister Forces Volume 1, which is awesome, and Annie Jacobson's Phenomenon, which again is an excellent book. They go deep. They talk about all the tentacles that were in these groups and all the billionaires and Gene Roddenberry and different authors that spread out into the New Age and spread these ideas that they got in this channeling group out to the general population. The problem is that there have been people that came out since then who were part of these groups that said it was all bullshit, that Puharish was making it all up and he was putting those ideas into people's heads with hypnotic suggestion and with his technology. Among them, Lyle Watson, who wrote Supernature, and Ira Einhorn, who was implicated in the Holly Maddox murders way back in the day, which he was probably set up.
All right, so this guy's going off about some Putrarsh fellow. So you understand why it's a terrible connection to the Ross shit. Hold on.
For coming out against this group. I didn't get to the part of the story where Puharish moves his lab from Maine to Ossining, New York, and starts something called his Camp for Space Kids, or the Turkey Farm, where he had several dozen children that he was doing testing on to bring out their psychic.
Oh, sorry. The Turkey Farm reference requires a card pull from this deck. The Shenandoah Valley deck. Shenandoah Valley deck. Just give me a moment. I hope you all are having a good time. This is the level, the things that were happening in perhaps intelligent people doing intelligent things, and the downstream we are of those. The ace of clubs for the farm.
Where he had start something called his Camp for Space Kids, or the Turkey Farm, where he had several dozen children that he was doing testing on to bring out their psychic powers. That farm, that camp, burnt down mysteriously in an arson one day, and then Puharish took off and disappeared to Mexico. And who pops up in the story? Don Elkins and Carla Ruckert, who wrote The Law of One. One of the best books about this little field trip of fuckery is called The Stargate Conspiracy by Picknett and Prince. And in it,
this little field trip of fuckery. See, it's the little things that make a host bearable, and a skill check on your captain proficiencies. Field trip of fuckery.
Field trip of fuckery is called The Stargate Conspiracy by Picknett and Prince. And in it, they state that Ira Einhorn, who has his own part to play in the story, confirmed Puharish's determination to turn all psychic communication into contact with the Nine, and that he was humanly directing the pattern of the channeling. It goes on that Puharish seems to have shaped his subject's communication to conform to a consistent pattern, fitting a preconceived plan, and that, interestingly, another example of this phenomenon is found in the work of Don Elkins and Carla Ruckert. And Carla, through Carla, made contact with Ra, one of the Nine, though significantly only after meeting Puharish. As the story goes, Don Elkins was trying to experiment with ways to artificially make people think they had UFO contacts.
Artificial means man-made.
And that Ruckert had never even thought about the Nine until Puharish came down and hypnotized her. Here's some rather humorous clips of them tap dancing around those experiments themselves.
We have what we hope is going to be a real interesting subject on this morning's Open Up. We're going to be talking about UFOs, and with us are two authors, Mr. Don Elkins and Miss Carla Ruckert.
That guy there, that's the one that ends up dead.
And they have written this book, which is Secret of the UFO. And we're going to talk about just about everything.
And that's the lady that the guy talks through. So if Ra talks through that lady, and why can we get John to be the instrument and just do some transcriptions?
We can about UFOs. I have performed an experiment with over 100 people in fabricating what I call telepathic contactees.
Yeah, he's WTF indeed.
Performed an experiment with over 100 people in fabricating what I call telepathic contactees.
So we help people make contact. We fabricate contact, or what?
Now, how did you and Carla both get involved in this? That's what we'd like to find that out.
Well, in 1962, when I was in college, Don was a professor, and he asked some selected students of his if we would like to try a little experiment. We didn't know very much about the experiment when we started, but what it ended up to be was an experiment which is described in our book.
Is that telepathic?
Yes, having to do with attempting to contrive or manufacture the type of contactee information that Don had been collecting for years.
Field trip. Okay, that was the field trip, and that fuckery resulted in this masterwork. This masterwork here, where I don't know. It's got a lot of Gnostic fan fiction in it, but it is a framing with the chakra systems. That's terribly convenient way of understanding things, and like maybe they were cherry picking pieces from ancient religions, and they picked the good ones because it was a subconscious part of Carla's right brain. I don't know, but I think that these, with the recession of modernity that we're facing, a lot of these things are going to have to be investigated and addressed. Heavenly peace.
Like Hobo's Lullaby. Go to sleep, you weary hobo. Let the town go drifting by. Listen to the steel rails a-hummin'. That's a hobo's lullaby.
And that's it for the Legion and Dame Onion stream. I hope I got you where you thought we were gonna go. Or
I'm not a cat.
I'm gonna take the train on out for a last chance for you guys to give the donate buttons, and for just to say goodbye. Thanks for being virtually not alone with us today. This 19th day, just 10 days before the Symbolic World Summit thing.